All right, welcome to another episode of Nard Knows, and man, I'm excited about this one as usual. But this guest is near dear to where I reside, University of Utah stud safety. Now he's in the NFL and he's a Super Bowl champion with the Rams. But we're gonna get into that. My guy Terrell Burgess is in the building, man. How you feeling, man?
Feeling good, feeling good. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Thanks for taking the time, dude. Before we get into all the fun stuff, man, like, where are you now in your life, man? You've seen a lot and been through a lot. But when it's all said and done, are you able to look yourself in the mirror and say, "Hey, I'm proud of what has happened so far"?
Um, I think this is like I'd say this is like a back and forth thing because I feel like you never want to be envious of somebody else or like and not that I am or anything. I'm saying like you never want to be envious of like you like a most athletes, they're always gonna want more. You know what I mean? And some of them, are fulfilled, some of them are content. And I feel like I'm definitely proud of a lot of things that I've accomplished. I'm excited and I'm glad that I've been able to continue playing a children's game at the highest level and in the highest game, as you could say. But yeah, no, I think I'm proud, and I don't feel like I'm done playing yet at all. But like I definitely don't want to play forever. But I'm happy with being able to achieve a dream that a lot of us growing up were wanting to do, if that makes sense.
Talk about that recruiting process to the University of Utah, man. Like, just like how I'm appalled that I'm here working and living and thriving in Utah, you did the same thing. What was that walk for you?
I'll be honest. I remember my junior year. It was probably like the spring of my junior year. Um, at this point, I didn't know much about Utah, the state of Utah, anything about Utah besides the fact that when I was like in middle school, they had beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl. That's like all I knew about Utah. There wasn't much I knew about the state besides what they did in that football game. I didn't know anything. I had never driven through Utah. If I did, it was like I was a kid, didn't know much about it. Knew it was part of the Four Corners. That's it. That's all I knew about Utah. And I remember I had spoken to not one of the coaches, it was like one of the I don't know if this is legal or not, but we're just gonna say it. It was one of he's got a better job now, but it wasn't one of the coaches, but it was like one of the guys in the recruiting office, and we had like talked, and he was like pretty much like talking about how much he believed in my abilities, and he was like, yeah, you're gonna be a Pac-12 player one day. And at this point, I think I had maybe like a couple offers. It was like Nevada, Colorado State, maybe San Diego State at that point. So there was a few offers. I didn't have too many. I wasn't like a highly touted recruit or anything, but so I talked to a guy there, and then the summer comes around, and some teams started reaching out to me, and then Utah, they extended an offer to me, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like this is cool. Like this is a good school. And instantly I was like interested. I was like, oh, I kind of want to go check it out. So that summer, my mom and I, we went and checked because Utah State had also offered me. So we went up there for a weekend, me and my mom, and we drove out there and got to visit both schools. I don't remember which school we visited first, but obviously it doesn't matter. I ended up going to Utah. Go Utes,
Mhm.
you know it is. But went out there, felt comfortable, loved it. I think I did my visit, that unofficial visit with Coach John Pease, rest his soul. Great guy. But he showed us the school, and it was really great. And yeah, and I feel like at that point I kind of knew I wanted to go there. And I feel like I've said this. If I haven't said this before, I feel like I knew exactly I wanted to go there. The moment Utah offered me, I knew I wanted to go there. But I kind of wanted to not necessarily play the field because that sounds bad, but I wanted to make sure it was the right decision. And I took another official visit in October. And every time I went on a visit and at all, I was always comparing it to Utah. And when it came down to it, like that was kind of my deciding factors. Like I was always comparing it to Utah, and I hadn't found something that felt more like home or felt better than it did when I was at Utah. And I was like, this is my gut, my heart trying to tell me something. This is God telling me something. And yeah, then I ended up going to Utah. Signed, I committed like a week before signing day, so they probably didn't know, but I knew I was going there months before that. But actually, it got a little tricky towards the end. It was close. I almost didn't have the opportunity to go there because I waited too long to commit. And with the commitments back then, I don't know how it is now, but you could only have a certain amount of guys commit per year.
Mhm.
So it's kind of tricky, but it ended up working out. And I'm a Utah Ute for life.
I asked this question to former running back, now running backs coach Quentin Ganther. What is it about that program that makes it so translatable to the NFL?
I would say just the way we work. I'm not gonna sit here and say because everybody talks about mat drills, everybody talks about this, everybody talks about that, but like there's just like a sense of like integrity and just the way we go about our business in Utah. Not every day we were working hard in the summer, working hard in the spring, even during the season we were working hard some days, and I'd be like, dang, like like let up, we got a
Yeah,
game
take
on
it
Saturday,
easy.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
that's just what it is. Like even I don't know, but like there's just so many different things that the way they go about their business there, and it just it all translates because you just know you're gonna get a hard worker when you get to the league, and I think that's what we have done. All the players that have left um sit in the last 20 years, however many years, have all been playing well in the league and working hard, and that's why the reputation from Utah and the players that come out of there, they're always gonna have a good reputation with the NFL.
Yeah, that much is for certain. I attended the last two pro days, and it's just flooded with scouts. Every season is like just a show for sure. What are some of their favorite moments as a youth?
Oh, favorite moments as a youth. I'm gonna have to go. One of them was definitely my. I know everybody's gonna. They're not gonna like this, but my freshman year against BYU, first play of the game, we got a pick six. And at this point, I understand the rivalry, but I don't understand it that much. But first play of the game, they threw like a hitch or an out route to like the running back, the linebacker. We pulled the linebacker out. We were in man, and he like tipped it. The linebacker catches it, and he takes it. Sunia takes it back to the house. First play of the game, and the crowd went crazy. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is insane. Like this is what college football is all about. So I'm sitting
Mhm.
on the sideline watching. I'm a freshman. I was like, oh, this is really how it's gonna happen. So that's definitely one of the moments I remember the most. My senior year against Colorado, we had got a punt return for a touchdown. Damari Simpkins and the crowd were crazy. Um, I'd say both of the Pac-12 championships were great moments. Too bad we didn't win, but like they were still like great memories while I was there. Outside of football, we did a lot of like bowling and different like things, going to eat with the players. I don't know. I'd say the locker room as well. The locker room was one of the best places to be in the state of Utah. Outside of doing a bunch of things but I had great relationships on the team, and those are things that I'll remember forever.
Being a safety in the Utah defense is probably one of the more important positions because there's so much prestige there, so much reputation, starting with, just the recent guys with Sione Vaki and Cole Bishop, and then you go back to Eric Weddle, the OG, and then there you are dead smack in the middle of those generations of football. What was it like to play that position, a hard-nosed position where, Coach Scally, another great coach, has a lot of responsibility on your shoulders?
It was great, especially because I didn't come to college as a safety. I came to college as a cornerback, played receiver like for one game, that played corner, played nickel, and like at the time where I was learning the safety position, I was really playing nickel, and I just happened to learn it because I was in the room, and you can't sit in a meeting with him and not learn something. He's a very smart man. So I'd say like just being a safety there, it was a blessing because and nothing against any other coach, but you got got a chance to really learn from one of the coaches that was really like, I don't know, I'd say hard nosed. Not many people, and this is an opinion. Not many
Mhm.
people come as a freshman to Utah and are very fond of Scally, and not in a bad way. I mean,
Mhm.
not everybody's used to being coached hard, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yes,
And
makes sense.
he is a very, very demanding coach, and like he wants the best out of you, and that's why he pushes you very hard. So one thing I always appreciated about him, and that also comes with the position. There, I don't know how it is now. I'm sure like the safeties are still really important the way that they're playing right now. But yeah, you kind of got to make a lot of calls as well as the linebackers, and you kind of have to be smart. You got to be able to play. He has his opinions on how he likes his safeties, but you got to be able to play. You got to know the defense, and you got to be able to help everybody else out around you. And I feel like he's done a great job of like putting guys in position to be able to continue to play. And I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity to do it.
What do you think about him being coach in waiting once Coach Kyle Whittingham calls it quits?
Yeah, I think that's a it's a funny name to call. Like, you know what I'm saying? They don't really like I feel like a lot of places in the NFL, in college, high school, you always know who the coach in waiting is, but like when they actually put a name to it, it's kind of like interesting. So I'm happy for him. I think he'll do a great job whenever that day comes where Coach Whittingham sets down. But yeah, I'm happy for him. He's a great coach, and I think they're going to continue to be one of the most disciplined teams in the country. I can assure you of that.
When Kyle Whittingham retires, that day is going to be a holiday here in Utah, without a doubt, for
Yeah,
sure.
oh, without a doubt,
It's
they're
going
going
to
to
be
have.
a parade, everything.
Oh my goodness, they will have a Kyle Whittingham day in the state of Utah, and everybody's going to hate it outside of Salt Lake City. But there will be a day, promise.
For sure, especially down there in Provo.
Oh, 100%.
But Kalani, he might, when he retire, he might even get his day.
He's going to get a day too,
Yeah,
just from the person he is. Like, yeah, no, he'll get a day as well, for
for
sure.
sure. So draft day, what was
Yeah.
that like? What was the conversation like leading up? Did you know you was gonna get drafted that high? Was it disappointment? What was it?
Oh, definitely not a disappointment. I think regardless of where and that's again, hindsight is 2020, but I think regardless of where I would have went, um, it would have all been amazing. I'm definitely grateful for the opportunity that I was received. But I think even going into my senior year, I wasn't like I wanted to get drafted, but who knows what would happen. I didn't start the official start until my senior year. So going into that year, I just wanted to play my best of my abilities just to show some team that, I could play at the next level.
Mhm.
And, as the draft process started to heat up, I kind of was getting some buzz like, oh, this could happen. Oh, this could happen. Oh, you could go here or you could go here. So I didn't really know. I knew I wanted to go on day two, but didn't really know that it was going to happen. So I was more thinking like, oh, I probably will go on day three. And I remember we were at my mom's place in San Diego, and it got towards the end of the night, and it kind of got to a point where like I was like, I'm probably not gonna go tonight. You know what I'm saying? And I was sitting in my little sister's room, her bedroom, and I could hear like my mom in the living room and like some of my family members. They're like, Terrell's not gonna go tonight. We need to figure out what we're gonna have for breakfast in the morning. And I'm like listening, and I'm like, dang, they're already counting me out. There's still 5 picks left. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like there's still a chance I could go. But at that point I heard that and I was like, dang. And one thing I will say is like, and I've said this many times before, but one thing that I like, part of the reason why I went to Utah was because I wanted to get out of California. So I was kind of like, I had been there my whole life, been here my whole life. I was like, I kind of want to see something new. You know what I'm saying? So throughout the draft process, I was kind of like, people were asking me like, oh, where do you want to go? And I'm like, anywhere, and I'd say anywhere but California, just because I'm like, I've been here my whole life. I don't really want to be here.
Mhm.
Towards the end of that night came, my phone started buzzing, and I saw Thousand Oaks, California.
Mhm.
All of that went out the window. I was excited. And there's a video like where I start talking, and Les Snead, he goes, "Oh, how would you feel like about playing football for the LA Rams?" And I start crying, and it's crazy. It was one of the nights I will remember forever. Regardless of how long I was there, it was one of the best nights of my life, and I will always be grateful for that opportunity.
Got drafted in 2020, and 2 years later, you win a Super Bowl. But during that 2 year gap, it's a lot of work, I would presume, waiting to get into that point. Talk
Mhm.
about that process, and then Sean McVay's influence. I mean, he looks like a hell of a coach, not only being just one of the younger coaches in the league.
Mhm. Oh, hell of a coach. He's a great, very smart guy. And like, I don't know if you have ever seen an interview of his, like where he can remember plays like to a T. It's kind of creepy actually. Like his memory is incredible, and he's a great guy. But yeah, I'd say a lot of hard work went into it. My rookie year, I broke my ankle week 7, so that was tough coming back from. So like yeah, week 7, Monday Night Football against the Bears. It was like third or fourth quarter. I don't remember exactly, but I had went in for a tackle, broke my ankle. So like I'd say it was a big struggle, like because I had never really had a major injury before, and I had went into that like, oh shoot, like this really just happened. So coming back from injury, the whole recovery process into the next season was huge because it just was something it was new. And like for a lot of people that haven't gone through injuries, it's one of those things that's like it's really it takes a toll on your body, takes a toll on your mind. And if you don't, you know what I'm saying, get right with somebody, whether it's, you know, a higher power that you believe in, you know, with God, with a therapist, anything,
Mhm.
then you know, you may not be able to come back from it. So it was just it was tough, but I was able to come back and be able to continue. And then going into the second year, I was able to, you know, help the team any way I could, whether it was on special teams, spilling on defense here and there. But yeah, it went to a lot of hard work. We ended up obviously getting a few guys to, you know, help us make that run around mid-season that really helped us solidify. And I don't know, winning the Super Bowl was a great moment. That whole season was crazy. I remember we were like 2 or 3-0, and then we played like the Cardinals and we kind of like got our butts whooped. And it was kind of like a, oh shoot, like we need to calm down, like we're not who we think we are, you know, at this point.
Mhm.
And then we went on a little bit more of a run. We won like a few games. We were like 7-1, back on our high note. And then it was like the month of November that year, we like lost three straight. And then it was like, oh shoot. And we coming off, I think it was like coming off of a bye, we lose three straight. Everybody's like, oh shoot, like what's going on? Like, are the Rams gonna do it? And at this point, we had got a few trades, a few guys we had signed, a few more injuries in my second year. And I'm like, whoa, like this is kind of crazy. And we go on a run again, and then we lose last game of the season to the Niners, and it was like overtime game. We like so again, it was like a unknown part of the story that we were writing. And then we just had the opportunity to go to the playoffs. We started the playoffs with a home game, so that was huge for us. And yeah, we played the Cardinals, then we went to Tampa, had to play Tom at a point where he was, you know, towards the end of his career, but he just won the Super Bowl, so he was still obviously pretty good. So
Mhm.
that was a crazy game because we were up, I think, 24-3 for a while, and then they came back, and then we ended up winning. So that was crazy. And then came back home and played the Niners. And at that point, we hadn't beat the Niners. We hadn't both times we played them my rookie year, we hadn't beat them, and then both times in the regular season that year we hadn't beaten them. So it was kind of like a, oh shoot, like it's hard to beat a team once in the league.
Mhm.
Definitely hard to beat a team twice. We're like,
Mhm.
we're not gonna let them beat us three times. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And still, that game came down to the wire, and you know we ended up coming out on top and going to the Super Bowl, playing at home. That was it. Needless to say, that was one of the greatest days of my life. It was amazing. The Bengals played very well. I'm glad that it ended up swinging in our way at the end of the game, but it was a great game, and it's something I'll be able to tell my kids one day.
Now, please tell me that you have the Super Bowl ring, and on our nose, this will be the first time.
Here we go. Here we go.
When you received the ring, what was that feeling like? You know, getting a ring with the Odells and the Cooper Cups and the Matthew Staffords and the Aaron Donalds.
It was crazy because like I don't know how it usually is per years, but like we didn't get the ring until maybe the week before camp that next season. So it was like it was really cool. It was a great experience. That night was pretty cool because they had like a little ceremony for us. I think it was at Warner Brothers Studios or whatever, but we were all there like waiting for like a little like cocktail hour, you want to call it. We were just like sitting there for a while, took pictures, then we all opened them at the same time. It was great. It was pretty cool. But here you go. Here you
Ooh-wee. Hey, I can't never get tired of looking at that, man.
go.
We might have to do a whole nother take just so I can see it again, man. That
It is
is
crazy.
nice. What is your favorite part about that ring, man?
Um, I don't know. The whole thing is cool. They got all the games we played in the playoffs in there. They got the world champs on the side. Um, football in there, the stadium. But I'm gonna have to say, and like I don't know, I'm a selfless guy, but I'm gonna have to say having my name on the side of the thing
The
has to be,
Burgess.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely my favorite part. We not me was our slogan that year. So yeah, I'd say yeah, I'd have to have be my name on the side of it had to be my favorite part because that's just it was just a pretty cool moment, and then just being able to say that I won one is one of the best feelings in the world.
And a lot of Hall of Famers will never have that feeling, have that ring, man. I mean, it's a prestigious group to be in the Hall of Fame, but it's also equally a prestigious group to be a Super Bowl champion.
Mhm.
And that's gonna be tied to you forever, tied to the Burgess name forever. What does that mean to you and your family?
I think it means a lot, especially because it's not something I'm not going to say I ever forget that we won, but it definitely means a lot because it's something I'll be able to that I was able to experience with my family and be able to share to my future family in the future, and just all together it was just great because it's just an achievement that a lot of people grow up wanting to do, and I'll be able to tell my kids that their father was able to actually achieve that, and or my grandkids and things like that. So it's just one of those things I'll hold close to my heart forever. And one thing I'll say is I remember after the game, one of my teammates, Nick Scott, he was sitting there saying, he's like, dang, like we're gonna be chasing this feeling for the rest of our careers to try and get back here. And then he goes, but at least we know what it feels like. So that was something that I'll always remember, and just being able to experience that with my teammates, and we'll be able to remember that year forever. And I made a lot of lifelong friendships from that day, and just a great experience as a whole.
When it comes to football, everyone has that moment, in any sport where it was like a make or break moment where you either gonna love this game or you're gonna hate this game. Like for me, I remember high school, first time I took a lap and I freaking bust my butt over a
Hmm.
bench that I didn't see, and all my teammates left except for one. And to this day, that's one of my favorite, best teammates. But for
Hmm.
you, man, what was that moment for you, and why football?
Oh, so I would actually say, like, I love football, but I grew up a basketball fan. Like I love playing basketball, loved it all. So still a Lakers fan to this day. Grew up, Kobe's my favorite player. God rest his soul as well. But I would say, and I probably said this before, but so I stopped playing basketball my freshman year because kind of realized I wasn't going to be taller than 6 foot. And it's like at that point, everybody was getting a lot taller. And I was like, I'm not dealing with this. So
Was you
I had to
dunking
make,
at least?
yeah, no, actually, I've never dunked in a game. I've dunked like trying, but like I never dunked in a game. So at that point, um, I think my sophomore year, I was able to play varsity. My brother was on the team, so that was pretty cool. And in the playoffs, it was in the semifinals. We were playing against this high school in San Diego, Granite Hills, and I got a pick six, like 105, 106 yards, pick six. And like after that game, I was like, yeah, this could be really, make something happen. So that was kind of I don't want to say make or that was like a pivotal point, I'd say, in the history of my football career that kind of really showed me that I really wanted to play and really wanted to make something happen.
How has football been a vehicle in your life to fulfill a purpose that only God can give you?
For a lot of people that do or don't play sports, like if you have, you know that you don't just learn about sports when you're playing football or playing sports in general. Like you could learn a lot of life lessons. And one thing I'd say I'm grateful for is like just the different things that I learned from different coaches throughout the years, and like little nuggets that I'll be able to like teach my kids, teach like kids if I'm coaching one day. Like I've been able to share my story with different high schools and different kids in college, and different kids different guys I'm training with, different things that I've learned from different coaches that I'm just grateful to be able to do. And it's just, I don't know, I've learned a lot of life lessons, and I'm just grateful that, you know, I'm able to share my story with other people because it's something that I've always wanted to do, just be able to help the next person, go farther than me. And yeah, I'm just grateful for the whole experience as a whole, and
Mhm.
I'll be grateful to be able to tell my story again to my kids one day.
Who impact you the most on and on off the field? Those moments where you had uncertainties, those injuries, things like that, in your professional career and before that. Who's impact you the most? Who's gotten you through those tough times? Obviously God, but who's those
Yeah.
people he placed in your life?
Yeah, outside of God, I mean, I don't want to say outside of God, but through with God, I'd also say like my family for sure. I have a really close family, so being able to talk to them through different things, and then outside of them, I would say I grew up like being really big in like the special needs community. I used to do this thing called Shooting Stars, where I would play basketball with special needs kids, and then I was involved with them in high school and then in college, and still. Uh, after college in the league with the foundation out here in California. But so I'd say like another thing was just all, and not saying that some people don't have problems like within football, but like every time like I felt like I was going through something, I always thought about like people that would wish like would love to be in my position and have these problems. And I was just like, you know what? Like it could always be worse. Like just being able to think about those people that, are quote unquote worse off than I am. And like that kind of gave me a driving factor of, well, I got to do it for them because they would love to be able to be in this position and do it. So that just allowed me to keep striving to do everything I want to do.
At this point in your life, obviously you just finally fully healthy from that hamstring injury, ready to get
Mhm.
back out there. The season is still very young. It's a very young, long season. Um,
Mhm.
but right now in your life, what would you name this chapter?
Ooh, what would I name this chapter? Um, that is a great question. Wow.
Right.
I try. This chapter, I would say is I don't know. That's a tough question. Wow. I'm over like a good word, but I would just say I'd say new beginnings. And I'll say that like new beginnings are like shift. Then that's what I would say. Only because I'd say this is my first year since I've been in the NFL where it's been kind of like I don't want to say a little rocky at the beginning of the season in my career. Like my first year, I would say around the league. I don't know if I've ever heard of somebody getting drafted like before the fifth round and like not making the team. So it wasn't like I knew, but every year I was going into the league like or going into the training camp thinking like I got to make the team. And I would tell my mom, I'd tell my siblings this all the time, like let's not get too excited. Let's wait till the official team comes out because I'm always thinking like I'm saying anything can happen. So I'd say new beginnings because this is the first year where it's been like a little bit of a shift in how the year has started for me, but I'm still grateful for it all. It's all always going to be a blessing to be in this position. So that's why I would say new beginnings. A new beginning. We'll put it that way. A new beginning. So that's 3 words. I apologize for the
No,
phrase.
no, that's you got to name the chapter what it is,
Yeah,
man.
a new
Okay,
beginning.
okay.
Mhm.
What is something that only an NFL player would know about the NFL?
That it's not all glitz and glamour like people make it out to be, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes in it, right?
Oh, there's a lot that goes into it. And I'm not saying like there's not great parts. There's
Mhm.
there's amazing parts of being in the NFL and like there's
I
a
don't
lot of
think
guys.
I don't think you can convince anybody of that.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm not
yeah.
saying that. And obviously like you'll see like there's certain guys that like I don't know, I don't have to name anybody, but like Tom Brady, for instance. This man had won 7 Super Bowls. He went to I'm pretty sure he went to more Super Bowls than he like didn't make the playoffs in his career. I don't quote me on that. I don't know if that's true.
Mhm.
But like if anybody was thinking about Tom Brady, that would probably be like something they would think about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm sure he had his struggles, but like there's definitely guys like that where it's like, oh, like they're on top of the world always. You know what I'm saying? However, I would say like there's just certain things about the league that aren't all glitz and glamour. So yeah, to answer your question, I'd say that there are some great things and there are some not so great things, but as a whole, it's a great opportunity and it's always a blessing to be a part of it.
When it's all said and done, man, how do you want people on and off the field to remember Terrell Burgess?
Um, to be honest with you, on the field and off the field, I think I'd say I haven't like and some people think this is a bad thing to like change or not change, but I want people to always be able to say like, you know what, like he was a great guy, just as a person, as a human being, as a friend, as a whole. Like I want people to remember me and like just like a great guy to be around, fun guy to be around. Because I like to joke around like sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I'm not all the time, but even I know I've seen Zach on your show before. He'll tell you like
Mhm.
we talk all the time. Like I just want people to know that I was a great guy to be around, lovely dude to be in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'd have to say just being a great guy as a person on the field, off the field. That's how I'd want to be remembered.
I just thought of one more question, man.
Oh
Because
yeah.
when we first started this interview, I knew that you were a great guy. I knew you had great energy, positive attitude, and that's why part of the ingredients to help you get to where you are.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the field, man, like I'm a jokey joke person, but when you gotta get when you got a 230-pound running back coming straight at you,
Mm-hmm.
and you the only person that's gonna stop him from getting in the end zone because he didn't made
Mm-hmm.
it past your D line, he didn't made it past your linebackers, and it's you and him. You
What
know,
you think?
what do you tap into in order to be like it's you or me?
Mm-hmm. I would say a lot of things. Like I don't think that there are bad tacklers in the NFL. Okay, like yeah, you could say there are, but I don't think it's that people are bad at tackling. I think it's just a commitment thing. So if you're asking like, what, how do I tap into that moment? It's really just they haven't made a man to run without legs. So go take those legs out. You know what I'm saying? Go take those legs out, get them down, limit the damage, and get ready for the next play. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you made that sound real simple, man.
Oh, obviously it's not as easy as I'm making it
Yeah,
sound, but I'm just being honest. Like
yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
think. Like
yeah.
he hit a man to run without his legs, so let me go get him down, limit the damage. Scally used to say that all the time in college. Limit the damage. So that's something I've stuck with me. Like, limit the damage and get ready for the next play.
Man, well, we're gonna leave it right there, man. Thank you so much for your insight and your story, man. I thank you so much, bro. This is gonna be a great one, and we definitely gonna be locked in. Continue to stay healthy, bro. Stay blessed. Continue to lead by example in all that you do, and always remember that someone's always watching, whether you know it or not, brother.
100%.
I know I was.
Yeah, 100%. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. God knows.